What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the latest news from Taipei. Taiwan is bracing for Typhoon Gaemi, expected to make landfall late Wednesday evening. The storm is packing winds of well over 200 kilometers an hour, and at least one death has already been confirmed. The whole country is on high alert, and as Tiffany Wong reports, many people are evacuating their homes ahead of expected flooding.
Bracing for destruction, residents on Taiwan's east coast clear out from their mountainside homes as Typhoon Gaemi approaches. It's the first typhoon to make landfall this year and is expected to hit the country on Wednesday.
为什么会全山占10到15零摄令？那是因为那个土石流，就是我们那个后山04、03开始崩落，然后它土石流已经下来到这个无名溪出口这里了。
And many business owners are closing shop. 21 out of 22 cities and counties have announced school and office closures.
也不知道雨势会多大，对啊，然后那个路况还不是说非常的好。
Elsewhere, there's a sense of calm before the storm.
Here in Taipei, the streets are empty and only a few convenience stores are open, as local authorities are warning people not to go outside unless necessary. Now, office buildings like these are closed, and many of them have prepared barricades and sandbags as they wait for the worst of the storm to hit.
At the Central Emergency Operations Center, President Lai Ching-te asked local authorities to ensure that the order to halt classes and work would extend through the evening when the typhoon is forecast to hit the hardest.
所以我希望我们这个放假应该有办法晚上嘛，因为有时候地方政府下达的命令放假是白天，但是我们要 cover 到晚上，因为晚上也有上课，晚上也有上班了。
The military has also been deployed to prepare to help in disaster-prone areas on the East Coast. The typhoon has taken them away from the annual Hanguang exercises meant to test their disaster response capabilities. Now, with a real natural disaster heading this way, the whole country's response systems will have to be mobilized. Andy Xue and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The typhoon is moving swiftly northwest, with Taiwan's east coast the first in line to be hit. Reporter Rick Lauert is in the eastern town of Nanfangao, where fishers and the local community are preparing for the worst.
68-year-old fisher Hong Jun hopes he has done all he can to protect his boat from harm. He's brought it deep into the harbour of his hometown on Taiwan's east coast, as the largest typhoon to make landfall in years is barreling straight towards this port.
像这种台风西北台，直接从这边登陆的台风就比较危险，我们这边损失肯定都会很多的。要是中台以上，这个台风会很大。
Super Typhoon Gaemi is already bringing to this area winds of 100 kilometers per hour and 3-meter high waves. The hundreds of fishing boats that provide this town of 6,000 people with its main source of income have all returned here to wait out the storm. This fishing port is one of the largest in Taiwan. It's protected by surrounding mountains, and for decades fishing ships have come to find shelter here during the typhoons that batter Taiwan most summers. But this storm is bigger than most, and it coincides with some of the highest tides of the year. Residents here are doing what they can to protect their property, and local authorities have banned people from approaching the sea, saying this storm could be deadly.
目前本所正在实施观浪劝离勤务，那采定检及机动巡逻的方式，针对海边逗留观浪的民众实施劝导及驱离。那再次提醒各位民众，在台风期间呢，请不要到海边进行逗留，甚至实施那个戏水及观浪的活动。
Global warming and climate change are making the typhoon season more erratic and less predictable. And although this community was often in the path of typhoons, it's been 8 years since a storm this size made landfall here. And there's a worry that over that period of calm, people here have grown complacent about the sheer power of nature. Alex Chen and Rick Lauert in Yilan County for TaiwanPlus.
Now we've got Louise Watt with a look at the latest on the storm's trajectory and how it's affecting the country. Louise.
The typhoon has been growing in strength on its approach to Taiwan, and it's expected to make landfall on Wednesday around midnight as a strong typhoon here in the country's east. And then Taiwan is expected to see the biggest impacts in the following hours until the typhoon leaves on Thursday on the way to southeast China. Now, it's already been causing lots of trouble transport-wise. Wednesday has seen the cancellation of more than 200 international flights and the cancellation of all domestic flights. That's more than 260 of them. Now, also, Taiwan's schools and offices have been closed across virtually the whole of the country, apart from the county of Jinmen. That's because it was out of the impact zone. But Jinmen has announced that on Thursday it will be requiring schools and offices to close. Now, mountainous areas could see rainfall of up to 1.8 meters. So people have been evacuating those mountain areas, and soldiers are on standby, 29,000 of them, in case they're needed for rescue efforts.
Taiwan's military is wrapping up live fire drills on its outlying islands as part of annual exercises practicing how to defend the country. And as Jaime Okan explains, that defense starts just off the coast of China.
Taiwanese ground forces are sharpening their skills on the outlying islands. On Penghu, they're practicing targeting enemy drones. And on Matsu, armored vehicles roll through the streets. Taiwan's military is holding live fire drills as part of its largest military war games, the Hangguang exercise. These annual drills test Taiwan's ability to defend against a potential Chinese invasion. Part of the exercise planned for Taiwan's main island have been cancelled due to incoming Typhoon Gaemi. But others farther away in the outlying islands are going ahead as planned. This drill here simulated defending against an attack on an airport in Jinmen, which sits less than 10 kilometers away from China.
在跟航警做任务的交接，那交接的内容大概就是突入的机降的敌人，他因为这个跟航警接战之后，航警
During this year's drills, the outlying islands will be the only place the military will use live ammunition. That's because these islands play an important role in stopping an attack from China.
很重要是澎湖的位置，你可以把它想象成像是一个 midway 就是如果中国解放军攻击的话，它从西边来的部队就会面对台湾本岛 homeland 的这个 fire。 还有就是澎湖的这个 anti-ship fire 变成一个所谓的 crossfire， 所以对于解放军来讲是很致命的。
The outlying islands play a vital role for Taiwan's security as they are the first line of defense. Security researchers say holding on to the Penghu Islands provides a strategic advantage as they allow the military to flank Chinese ships as they move towards Taiwan's main island.
Maintain that, not quite first strike, but responsive strike posture. And so testing these capabilities, testing the capabilities of Penghu, I think are really, really important. It'll still take, I think, about 12 hours to cross the Taiwan Strait, I believe on even the shortest point. So that's plenty of time for Taiwanese missiles to be hitting and bombarding any sort of forces that come over.
Although only 20% of Taiwan's entire army is stationed on the outlying islands, the country hopes these drills can show what an enemy would have to deal with, even before making it to the mainland, proving that while small, these islands could help Taiwan pack a big punch. Ryan Wu and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
At least 229 people have died in a series of landslides in southern Ethiopia. Heavy rains caused an initial landslide on Sunday night, burying several people. Then a second collapse occurred the following morning, engulfing many others who had gathered to help. Local authorities say many people are still missing, and they are asking for assistance. They say the devastation is beyond their capacity and that the area is now uninhabitable. Pro-Palestinian Jewish protesters have been arrested by U.S. Capitol Police for staging a sit-in against military aid to Israel. The group, Jewish Voice for Peace, led the protest at the Capitol Rotunda ahead of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's upcoming address to the U.S. Congress. Netanyahu has been in Washington, D.C. since Monday to meet with President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and other leaders. Relatives of hostages that are still being held in Gaza also gathered outside the capital to urge Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire deal with Hamas. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is hitting the ground running in her campaign for the country's top job. She's held her first campaign rally and took the opportunity to slam Republican nominee Donald Trump as a felon. Joyce Tseng has the latest.
With less than 4 months left in the race for the White House, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has made her debut on the campaign trail for the first time at the top of the presidential ticket in the critical battleground state of Wisconsin, pitching her record as a prosecutor against that of convicted felon and Republican nominee Donald Trump.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
In an early boost for her Democratic Party, Harris leads Trump 44% to 42% among registered voters in one national poll conducted in the 2 days since current President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Biden had been trailing slightly behind former President Trump while he was still in the running. And with a new nominee, Democrat heavyweights are excited.
We see very clearly how nervous the Republicans are about our new nominee. Well, they ain't seen nothing yet.
The Harris campaign says it's secured enough party delegates on their side to claim the presidential nomination and raised a stunning flood of donations, now at more than $100 million since Biden stepped down. Harris is also set to inherit the $91 million left in Biden's campaign, which Trump's team has called a brazen money grab, filing a complaint against the funds with the Federal Election Commission. Republican leaders say whether it's Biden or Harris at the top of the ticket makes little difference to their strategy, attacking what they say are Democratic failures.
This election will be about policies and not personalities, and we are delighted to line up the record of President Trump against the Biden-Harris record. Every area of public policy is a disaster because the Biden-Harris administration made it that way.
But among Democratic voters, fresh hope over their new candidate, including from those in the swing state of Pennsylvania.
People are energized. And I'll tell you what, I happen to believe, and I could be totally wrong, I believe we're going to have a blue landslide.
Carmela's going to have to spend a little time in PA. She's going to have to get to know the Rust Belt. I think she could pull it off.
Meanwhile, President Biden is back in Washington after a few days spent recovering from COVID at home in Delaware. He's preparing to address the nation about his decision not to seek re-election. But one thing Biden's already made clear is that he will finish out his term as president and actively support his successor in what's now become Harris's race to the White House. Justin Wu and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Archaeologists are putting together a dig team to recover suspected historical artifacts in southern Taiwan. The Chiayi location is the site of a planned packaging facility for semiconductor giant TSMC. But work has stopped since the discovery of the possible relics. Some people say the pay for the dig team is barely higher than that of farm workers, so it's unlikely to attract many takers. But others say the rare chance to do archaeology in Taiwan could be exciting.
抢救计划哈，嘉义县政府已经同意抢救，所以他已经考古团队进去把那些文化遗址做抢救。那抢救完的话，就可以再复工。目前就是抢救阶段。
Thanks for tuning in for What's Up Taiwan. Visit our website or follow us on social media to get more of our reports. Finally, we leave you with scenes of flooding across Taiwan caused by Typhoon Gaemi. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. Stay safe out there.
I'm Joyce Zhen in Kumamoto, Japan, and you're watching TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.